All right. All right. I am I am very happy to welcome you to this faculty. It's really great that you are here. It's really great that you chose Stellenbosch. I can say that you are an exceptionally strong group of first years that we've taken in this year. Every year I hike the selection criteria to try and fit you in, as you can see. We have quite a tough time to maintain the limits of our venue capacities and laboratories in the different programs, but we've been growing quite strongly over the last few years, and so I think we are now hopefully at the plateau in terms of the number of students we'll be taking in. But yeah, if you are here, then it means you really did very well in matric and in the years before that, also in grade 11. So really well done to you, and I'm sure that that will also be a good springboard for you to start your engineering career from and your engineering studies. So thank you for choosing Stellenbosch. If you are here, I can just show you some statistics there in terms of, the makeup of our first year cohort, but basically quite a bit more than half of you are above 80% matriculants. In this particular group, I think almost all of you are above 80% matriculants because of the stringent selection criteria we have here in these programs. And so basically, I think today I just want to give you a bit of an overview of what you can expect here for the next few years, but specifically in the first year. So we'll have a quick overview, background about the faculty, some of the details around the undergraduate programs that's kind of relevant for you at this stage. And then we'll give a little bit of advice and also share some important information that you can use. And then if you have any questions afterwards, I'll be happy to answer them. I'm the Vice Dean for teaching in the faculty. So we have over 180 undergraduate modules and probably another 150 something or 100 or so postgraduate modules. So there's a lot going on in the faculty, more than 160 staff, academic staff members, and about the same number of support staff who are, technically assisting in the laboratories or doing administrative work and finances and organizing logistics. So it's a big ship to make sure that you have also all the support, academic and otherwise, to succeed. So I do hope also that you will reach out if you need any help or advice along the way. So we want our students to do well. The main reason is we think that you are our greatest social impact. When you graduate, you go out there as engineers, you solve society's problems, and you really have a very positive impact on people's life quality. Everywhere you go, you are making things better for the people around you, in the society around you. So you have an important role to play in life, and it's a very fulfilling career. So I do have to also commend you on your choice of career, not only on your choice of university. And we will make a team effort of it. Of course, you have a big role to play in your own success, but we also have a big role to play. And we really want to support you in the way that you need. And I think it's important to mention that you are a large group of first years. You're probably going to be over 1,000 this year between all the programs. It means you can easily fall into the cracks, right? We may not necessarily know that you're struggling with this, that, or the other, and maybe we could have helped. So it's really, really important that you don't hesitate to reach out to us if you need support. Okay, so I'm going to talk about support as well as we go through this session. All right, Prof. Wikus van Niekerk is the Dean of the Faculty. He's been the Dean already for 9 years. So he's very capable and knowledgeable. And me and him and the Dean's Division, I'll introduce you to some more people there now, we really take a very active role in the first year's journey. So I want to invite you, if you're in need of assistance, to reach out to the Dean's Division team. Because in the first year, you all take the same modules, irrespective of your program. You may find that you only have more interaction with your own home department later in your study career, but the first year is, a lot of interaction with the Dean's Division. So from that perspective, You can, of course, reach out to your department as well, but don't hesitate to reach out to us if you need assistance. All right. One of the places where you can reach out to us very conveniently without friction is that we have a weekly Dean's lecture. We put it into intercultural communication. It's a module you'll be taking in the first semester. And once a week, we take one of those lectures. Either me or Vikas will be talking to you in that lecture to give you some advice, tips, what's coming up. It sort of also goes with the sort of rhythm of the semester, you know, the content of those lectures. But also that's an opportunity, right? If there's something that's a problem for the group, flag it there. If it's something that you are struggling with, you can obviously quickly afterwards ask some advice, you know, in person right there. Obviously, you can also reach out and make an appointment, but obviously then you need to, you know, the friction of the logistics and making sure that you get a time slot that matches the schedule, your and the person you want to see. The schedule is bit more friction than just, you know, coming up after a lecture and quickly asking what you need to know. So from that perspective, the Dean's lecture is a very effective way of just, you know, sorting out the small things quickly. All right. Other support staff in our Dean's division, Miss Natalie White. Natalie, her surname is White, but I always say she's our green personality. I don't know if any of you are aware, there's this sort of personality tests things where they sort of sort the personalities in these 4 colors, red and green and blue and yellow. And the green personality type is very caring, empathetic personality type, right? Natalie, super empathetic, super competent. She also knows the university system like the back of her hand. So she is an excellent person to assist you when you need help. If you are running into trouble, and I'm going to just say, if you're running into any trouble, what's your first port of call? Natalie. All right? First year students, Natalie. I want to simplify it as much as that for you. She will be able to point you in the right direction if she is not already the one who can, in fact, sort you out. Okay, so she knows what are the different options for support within the university environment. The only small exception, but Natalie will also send you to him if you come to her with this, is financial stuff. August Engelbrecht, you will know him as well, probably from this welcoming week because he's organizing it, but he's also our recruitment officer. So it's very possible that you've met him at your school last year or the year before. At some stage, he's visiting schools. For large portions of the year, he's out and about visiting schools and telling students about the options at Stellenbosch University in terms of engineering. But he is also having very good contact with our bursary division and other funders. So he is well able to point you in suitable directions. If you have financial need, then he can help you to link you up with the right people and places in order to try and, bridge that gap. So, but again, as I say, if you get to Natalie with financial needs, she will just help you to get to August. So no problem still. Where do you need to go if you need help? Natalie. All right. Another person or 2 persons that Natalie may refer you to, depending, is we have 2 educational psychologists in the faculty. That's extra. Main campus also have a lot of psychological services, including career advice and clinical psychology and educational psychology and etc., etc. But we have extra in this faculty, 2 educational psychologists to support you with things like time management, study methods, stress management, and so forth. And both of them have been already working for the faculty for 10 years. So they know your context as engineering students. You are following a program with one of the heaviest credit loads in the university. So it means your program, probably if you're in residence and your roommate is from a different faculty and you look at the timetable, you're going to be a bit jealous because of all the gaps. There's almost no gaps in your timetable. It's full, right? It is because you are really following quite a heavy credit program. And what that means is that you're probably, that's why time management is often an issue within engineering cohorts. And, because you have such a full program, sort of juggling all those balls is sometimes a stressor. And obviously, if it then starts to become really difficult, then you may become anxious. And so then stress management may also be relevant and so forth. So combination of time management, stress management, and study methods sometimes is something that you can really benefit from, to get some advice from one of them. They are professionals and they understand your context really well. Right, just a quick background about the faculty. We are aiming to be the leading engineering faculty on the continent. We are already recognized globally for excellence. We want to be innovative. We want to be inclusive in all the aspects that we push forward on, both education, research, and societal impact. And as I said, in terms of societal impact, I am fully of the opinion that our biggest societal impact are the engineers that we graduate. You are going to have a lifetime of impact out there, and to a large extent, you are the main social impact that we deliver to South Africa and to the world. And so we are very much invested in your success. Obviously, we also do all sorts of other things. There's big postgraduate programs also running. There's also lots of research happening in the faculty. So it's a big ship and there's lots of moving parts. But despite all the wonderful social impact those things have, I am still of the opinion that our undergraduate output is the biggest social impact that we can make. And so therefore, go forth. Right, so we've been established all 82 years ago. We were initially Afrikaans. We were the first Afrikaans engineering faculty in South Africa. We've been multilingual now already since 2015. And we have a track record for producing really excellent engineering graduates. The industry speaks very highly of our graduates. They say they quite often pick you out of a lineup because you're from Stellenbosch. So that to me is a very a good report, you know, that you are experienced by industry as capable engineers when you get out of this university with a degree from this faculty. So I trust also that what we give to you would also serve you well into your career. And then we also, I think, all our programs, and especially the postgraduate programs, are really well infused with good industry relations. And so we are solving problems that matter to industry and that are informed by industry need and industry data and quite often funded by industry. So that also is, I think, to the general benefit of the quality of what we deliver and to the benefit of the social impact. And then in the faculty, we have about 5,000 students all in. About 3,500 are undergraduate students and the rest are postgraduate students. So there's a big batch of postgraduate students running around in the hallways and in the laboratories as well. And as I said, we've grown quite a bit. So, you know, the graduation rates are also likely to pick up as the big first year intakes come through later. But at the moment, we're aiming to take in about 950 first years. 4 years ago, we aimed for 790. So we've already added, you know, a good 160 seats to the faculty first year intake. And despite that, I still need to push the selection rate, the selection criteria up every year. So the demand is quite substantial. Right, then in terms of success rates, I mean, it's a crude measure of success because success is not only this, but in terms of how many students graduate within the 4, 5, and 6 year time frames, it's 75% of our first year intake graduate within 4, 5, or 6 years. There are also some 3 or so percent who graduate, it takes longer than that to graduate. And then there's just over 20% who go somewhere else, either change program to BSc or to medicine or decide to do something else. So we do lose also quite a few engineering students, but still that is substantially higher than what most universities in South Africa can say. And of course, you know, the fact that you are strong matriculants is obviously not insignificant part of the fact that many of you succeed, or most of you succeed. Right, but still, it's only about half managed to graduate within 4 years, and that is, you know, part of the reality that we are also using the fact that you are 80%ers in a sense, in order to be able to squeeze the degree into 4 years. So it is quite a high credit load degree, and as a result, sometimes a hiccup happens, and maybe you need to repeat the module, and then you typically have to add a year in order to finish up the degree. All right, so maybe just on that point, I think it's to be expected, right? You're 80%er, but it's to be expected that your results may drop a bit, right? So the one thing, that students sometimes, you're a top achiever and you've been a top achiever all through your school life, and now you get 60 something and you think, oh God, I'm a failure, and it sometimes can kind of undermine your academic confidence, but you should expect, given, the high credit load, that, you're now swimming in a different pond. And if your marks drop a bit, it's not a reflection, of your ability. It may be reflecting on, have you put in the hours? Or it may reflect quite often also on other things. Being successful is a whole basket of things. Your academic ability is not in question. But there's usually also all sorts of other success factors. Are you supported emotionally? Do you feel secure? Can you actually focus on your studies, or are you stressed out about finances? There's all sorts of other things that can impact on your ability to live up to your potential. So again, I'm going to say, please reach out to us if there are other factors that is detracting from your ability to study at your full potential, right? So please reach out to us. Right, so you can see here that we've been growing quite a bit as a faculty over the years, and I would really, we must now plateau whether we want to or not, because you can look around you. There's no space anymore for more than this. We are at capacity. And in the later years, you are using laboratory spaces. Obviously, those are even more difficult in terms of managing in terms of large numbers. So I do think that we're aiming for 950. I think we will be aiming for 950 for foreseeable future, because above that would require infrastructure investments, and we've already actually invested in infrastructure quite a bit. You will see that the faculty is nice and new. Chemical engineering, actually, since you are the chemical engineering group, I must mention to you that chemical engineering, the building, will be under refurbishment for the best part of your study career. Well, it will, it's in the planning phase now, and then they're going to kick off the actual demolishment work probably over the December break, and then they're going to be building the building, and so it's going to have an impact for a bit. That's exciting. And then you're going to have brand spanking new laboratories for your final year projects, I think. So how's that? Okay. In terms of the faculty management, you're probably mostly going to be in contact with me and Professor van Niekerk, because between the two of us, we'll be seeing you every week in that Dean's lecture. But just so you know, some of the other people, the faculty director, Enzo, he's in charge of finances and operations and all sorts of things. So the fact that your laboratory is running smoothly is also thanks to him and all the other support personnel who works with him to make that happen. And then Professor Corny Schutte, he's Vice Dean of Research, so he's much more involved in contracts with industry and things like that. That's more impacting on the postgraduate level and less so on the undergrad, so you're unlikely to deal with him a lot. And then Natalie, as I mentioned, if you have an issue, who do you go to? Natalie. All right, so she's in the Dean's Division. You know where the Dean's Division is? So the Dean's Division is if you go all the way to Merriman side of our building, right, to the main campus side of our building, of this big building complex. The front portion is the general engineering building. And right at the top, 5th floor, the Dean's Division is there. You will also find Natalie there. So that is where you can find us. August also sits there. As I said, you may have already seen him through recruitment activities, and he's the guy you speak to if you need financial advice. And then Nicole, she's actually from the Registrar's Division. So the registrar would have communicated with you a lot over the last few weeks and last year as well, as part of the application process and the registration process and so forth. How many of you are already registered online? Who must still go for assisted registration? It helps me a lot to just know how many is still out there that will still register. I'm a bit worried about the venue capacities, but that makes me feel better if there's not so many hands going up on the registration numbers now. Okay, so Nicole will assist you if you go for assisted registration. It's probably going to be Nicole that helps you there, or if for some reason at some stage you want to change program, it's going to be Nicole that you're contacting about that. Or if some hiccup occurs and you fail the module and now there's repeat modules and you need to sort out, the registrations, registering for modules from different years than the one you're kind of in. So Nicole, registration stuff. So you're probably going to deal with her at some stage. At the very least, she'll be there when you graduate, and she would have looked at your record to make sure that you are on the graduation list and all that. So she does a lot of work. Many of you don't necessarily deal with her, but she does a lot of work for our faculty in the background. And then the chairs of the departments are the 5 there at the bottom. 4 of them have their terms coming to an end within the next year. So we're going to be appointing a lot of new departmental chairs. So by the time you are fully into your department, you're probably going to have a different face there. So I'm not going to spend too much time there, but they are also really competent and able to help and assist with advice. Especially, I think, if you are at all considering a program change, then it's not a bad idea to chat to the chair of the department to which you want to go and just sort of figure out what it is that, if you're still unsure. Okay, folks, undergraduate programs, I can just tell you that EXA is the Engineering Council of South Africa, and we have all our BEng programs accredited with EXA. Why does that matter? Well, because if you want to register as a professional engineer in South Africa, you have a whole lot easier route to get there if your degree is EXA accredited. So that means you have the educational basis that they require. So you'll typically have your BEng degree, and then you'll still work for 3-4 years, and then you'll be able to register as a PREng once you've sort of accumulated the practical experience in the work environment as well. And once you've registered as a professional engineer, you are then allowed to do work that unregistered professionals or unregistered people are not allowed to do. You're allowed to do professional engineering work. Typically also comes with a better salary and more esteem in the world and so forth. So professional registration is valuable. The Washington Accord is an international deal that between the engineering bodies of different countries to acknowledge the degree of the others. And so there's a sort of engineering standard that says what everyone will adhere to and make sure that we adhere to that. So the fact that your degree is EXA accredited also means that all the Washington Accord countries will also accept your degree as a valid basis for professional registration in that country. So basically, I have that thick document to worry about, but it's done. Your degree is accredited, and so you can relax on that. So data science, this group doesn't have the data science students, so I'm not going to talk long about it, but it's a focus area of electrical electronic engineering with a lot more statistics and computer science in it. There's also postgraduate options later in that stream. It's also EXA accredited. And the only thing is there, because we needed to fit so much statistics and computer science into that focus area, we already started in the first year. So there's 2 modules where they take something different than what you do. And so if you are considering changing into that program or out of it, there'll be a mismatch that you'll have to catch up. So that's just something to take note of. So there's your modules for your first year for all the different programs. The only exception is there's that one program-specific module in the second semester, the green one. There, every program takes something slightly different, but it's a small module of like 6 credits. It's a really small module. It's just sort of give you a taste of that discipline. The rest, we do the same things, again, as I said, except for data engineering, who does the blue modules there on the screen. So the rest of you all do in the first semester engineering maths, applied maths, engineering chemistry, engineering drawings, engineering physics, and intercultural communications. I just want to note that the physics and the intercultural communications module is they are 8 credit modules. All the others are 15 credit modules. So in a sense, those two are half. They're a little bit smaller, so they should take less of your time. Okay. So the credits, I'll speak about the credits soon, but the credits is an indication of how many hours we expect you to spend on the content. So the amount of content also reflects the number of credits. So the first 4 modules are 15 credit modules, and then engineering, physics, and intercultural communications are 8 credits each. Then in the second semester, again, engineering maths, applied maths, computer programming, electrotechnique, and strength of materials are 15 or 12 credits each. And then the program-specific module is a little baby, 6 credits, so it's not a big one. Right. The extended curriculum program have their own welcoming week, but after the bridging year, they do exactly the same modules as you do and graduate with the same degree. So last year's ECP students will be in your classrooms, and they do exactly what you are doing. And then in first year, I can say from a first year perspective, your main source of support, academically speaking, is the normal offering. You are going to have a lot of lectures, a lot of tutorials. Tutorials are like problem-solving sessions where you can grapple with the actual solving of problems based on the theory that may be covered in the lectures. And in the tutorials also, there will typically be tutors, typically master students, so people who actually know what they're talking about, and the lecturer to assist you in coming to grips with the content of that module. So the normal offering is by far the most important piece of academic support that is there. We have good lecturers who routinely go the extra mile. They prepare well. The content that's delivered to you is good content, good handbooks. Do buy the handbooks. The handbooks are good, especially the first year handbooks. It's really good. So it can really help you a lot. And if you actually make a point of attending all the lectures and working on the tutorial problems in advance and then coming with your questions and actually in that tutorial session, making sure that you sort out everything that you didn't quite get, and ask the questions and figure it out with your peers, your very smart fellow students around you, probably someone who's sitting next to you has just figured it out and can actually explain it just the way you need it to be explained. But there's also the tutors and the lecturer in the room so that you can actually get that help there and then. Okay, and then we have optional extra group learning sessions. The lecturer is not there. It's out of office hours. It would typically be early evening or maybe sometimes over lunchtime. And these are optional. It's extra. You can attend it to also get a bit more practice with a module. And there will also be teaching assistant to support like a tutor in that environment to help you with key concepts. And obviously, we've got, the lecture material that will be posted in SunLearn. We've got this weekly opportunity to speak to the dean directly, to flag things that's of concern, to get advice, to actually ask you a quick question if you need to, or to get a foot in the door to make an appointment if you need to talk more extensively to someone. And then, as I said, the educational psychologist. Who do you contact to get to them? Natalie. All right. Time management, stress management, study methods are themes that we see every year that you sometimes do need some coaching in. Language policy. We have a parallel medium first year, so you can attend Afrikaans lectures or English lectures according to your preference. I find that Afrikaans speaking students who went to Afrikaans school actually benefit from the Afrikaans lectures, especially in chemistry, where the lingo is kind of it sounds like something completely different in English. But anyway, from second year, we have all the lectures in English and with support in Afrikaans. We do have the question papers in both languages. You can answer in the language of your choice. So that is basically the story with the language policy. And then advice. I think I'm going to only give 3 pieces of advice. I'm going to summarize the next 2 slides in these 3 things. The first piece of advice I want to give you is aim to understand. Okay. You must not parrot, not just look at the memo, and be able to sort of reproduce it for a different, slightly similar problem, you know, but you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, right? We can all mind map, we're all really smart. We can look at this and see, oh, that's kind of similar to that. And I can sort of like look at that memo and kind of, you know, more or less do the right thing for this problem. But do you know why you're doing any of it? Very problematic if you don't. So you must, sometimes you'll have to grapple. Sometimes you're going to struggle. Sometimes you're not going to understand. I know for some of you that's like impossible to imagine, but sometimes you're not going to understand the stuff. You're going to have to sit with it and grapple with it and try and actually ask a question, actually sleep on it for a bit and come back to it another day and sort of until that concept clicks. And I tell you what's interesting, and I found it as a mother as well, we don't learn like this. We don't learn in like a linear, like we don't become like a little bit better on like a line like this. We struggle and we struggle and we can't walk and we can't walk and we can't walk and oops, we get up and walk. It's weird, but we learn like by struggling, and then it clicks and you can do it. So sometimes you must just bear with that struggle. But it's really important as an engineer that you must absolutely insist on actually understanding what it is that you're dealing with. Because these modules, they build on each other. And the concept that you figure out today will be the foundation for the next concept that builds on that. And the next one that builds on that. And so you may pass a subject by this sort of, you know, parrot learning, but it won't make you a good engineer. And it is likely also going to sort of rebound on you, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 modules later if you didn't make it an important thing to actually understand what it is that you are learning. The second piece of advice I want to give you is, and I'm especially speaking to you if you're introverted and tend to isolate yourself. A bit of peer support academically. Invest a little bit to build an academic support structure, peer-to-peer. People you can sit with around the table and study with, or at least people that you sit with in the tutorial and you ask each other if you get stuck, or people you can WhatsApp in the evening if you are stuck on a problem and you just sort of want to soundboard a little bit with one of your peers. You are all very smart. You are just figuring stuff out, and now you just figured it out. You are in the best position to explain to the person next to you, because weirdly, sometimes lecturers who already know exactly how it works for ages kind of don't realize what's that little thing that you now need to hear to click. But the person who just figured it out probably actually is very well able to give you that little thing that you need for it to click. So you are actually very well positioned to support each other. And I can say from the COVID years, when we had students online and they've lost the peer support because of just, it was COVID, so they didn't sit around in rooms and make these kind of connections that you now can make. It really impacted on their studies. So the peer support you get from each other is actually an important part of your academic success. And if you're an introvert and you tend to avoid that, I want to just encourage you to make a bit of an effort to build. It doesn't need to be a big group, but just build yourself a little bit of an academic peer support structure as well, study group of some sort. Okay, and then the third bit of advice I want to give is just don't underestimate the workload, okay? Basically, it boils down to you should start by putting in 50 hours a week. Okay? You're going to be in lectures from 8 to 5, lectures and tutorials from 8 to 5 every day. That's practically about 40 hours a week, right? There's here and there off lectures, so it's actually more like 36, but that's going to be a big block of time. But that means there's still 10 to 14 hours that you should be putting in in the evenings and on the weekend to read the textbook, grapple with that problem, grapple with the concept until it clicks, until you understand it. Until you understand it well enough to solve problems with that concept. And I know I'm talking to a lot of very smart people. There are going to be some of you who don't need 50 hours a week. There are going to be some of you who need more. But I just want to say, if you've done nothing for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then you realize you now need to not only do the 50 hours of this week, but catch up the 50 hours of 2 or 3 weeks that's passed, it's impossible, right? So really, really, just first start by putting in those hours, okay? Just start there. Start by putting in those hours. If later, after the first engineering test week, you see, okay, I'm okay. I can, in fact, do well without putting in 50. Then, okay, by all means, then you can take your foot off the gas a little bit. But, you know, the other way around is very, very risky. And I know you are very smart, and I know you think you're going to have an easy time, and some of you actually will, which is quite amazing, but most of you will actually have to put some effort in to get this engineering degree. Most of you, even though you are smart, this is a degree for smart people. We are using this smartness of yours, all right? You are going to be challenged. That's good. It means you're going to be able to solve challenging problems someday as an engineer in the real world. Real problems in the real world. So I want to motivate you to put in the hours and to make sure that you ask for help if you need it. All right, again, if you find yourself now really struggling with time management, you're becoming anxious, you're really worried about your studies, please reach out to us for assistance. Where do you go to? Yes, Natalie will help you. And Natalie can tell you where to go if she cannot help you. So, if you have a class problem, okay? For example, the engineering maths lecturer speaks too softly, or the lecturer of whatever module forgets to post the notes or whatever, right? Class representative is your spokesperson to the lecturers if it's a class problem. So just like you're probably going to have a WhatsApp group for your class, the class representative, I think, must still be chosen. The Engineering Student Council will help you to choose someone from the group, you know. And then the class can sort of raise sort of class issues with the class representative. We will then bring it to the lecturer and sort it out, hopefully. But we also have, once per semester, we have a meeting between the class representatives and the lecturers of the first year modules and myself and the dean. So if there's something, hopefully it surfaced before then, because I mean, that's like after test, because mid-semester, so it's quite deep into the semester already. So the class reps can sort things out faster and escalate it to us faster. But at least once a semester, we do have that discussion also formally with a group of people in the room. And then if you yourself are struggling with a specific module academically, then the right person to go to is the lecturer of that module. Either quickly after a lecture, go and ask your question. That's low friction because you don't have to logistically arrange a time that suits both of you. Or in the tutorial, come with your questions, use that opportunity to ask then. You know, there you can also ask a tutor or the lecturer in that space. So there's at least a dedicated time, several times a week, where you can actually ask academic questions of a module. And then again, if you have other problems, emotional, financial, or anything else, come to the Dean's Division, talk to Natalie, and that would be the route. And we'll get the right people involved to help sort you out, sort your problem out, I mean. Okay, then our website. I mean, there's now a long link there, but you can just Google Stellenbosch Engineering and you'll find the faculty website. And on the faculty website, you're going to find a tab for current students. If you click on there, you're going to find first-year students. And then in first-year students, you're going to find that what you see there on the screen. So there's quite a bit of information there that's relevant for you, including, you know, which textbooks you should order. And if you want to invest in a laptop, what specs would be suitable. You don't have to. There is engineering computer facilities available with legal software and everything. So, but if you do want to invest in a laptop, then there's some specs there for you. And then I think also important there is the timetable, guide to the timetable. So where are which classes are where and when? That timetable. You can follow the instructions that they're on our website to get your timetable. And you should do that preferably not today, not tomorrow, but by Friday this week. And the reason why I say not today, but Friday, is the registration is still open. And at this stage, we're a bit touch and go in terms of the numbers. And if I need to create a 5th group of first years, it has major knock-on effects on all the venues and scheduling, and then the whole timetable will change. So please, let there not be too many. But tentatively, if there's not too many, then this is what we are probably looking at. So this is tentative. Please check before. Please check on Friday or over the weekend so that you know where to go on Monday morning. But probably, and by probably I mean 80% probable, these will be the group allocations. So group 1 is going to be all the Afrikaans all the students, well, from all programs, those students who want to be taught in Afrikaans will follow the group 1 timetable. You can't jump, you know, between groups because then you'll have clashes and you'll have some modules multiple times and others not at all and so forth. You know, it's not going to work to jump between groups. You've got to pick your group and then you attend that timetable for that group. So if you want to be taught in Afrikaans, you must pick group 1 and take the group 1 timetable and follow that. All right, if you are civil engineering and chemical engineering, and this one is very touch and go, but I think we're gonna fit. But then you are gonna be likely in group 2. And you'll see typically most of your lectures will be in one venue, and that venue is likely gonna be S2024, which is that side of the hallway and 1 floor up. Oh, do you know how the numberings work? Okay, so the S stands for civil engineering, that's on that side. Civil field from back in the day when we were Afrikaans, you know. What you hear, man? The S is for civil. Anyway, okay, and then the E stands for electrical electronics. So basically everything on this side of the hallway and to the north is electrical electronic engineering. So the E stands for some venue in this part of the building. Some other venues you'll see is M, that's in the mechanical complex, and some other venues are, so A is for the general, algemeen, again the Afrikaans, the general building and so forth. So the letter kind of refers to which sort of section of this engineering complex it's in. Then the first number refers to the floor, the level. So, you know, we are at this moment in E1025. The 1 refers to the fact that we're on the ground floor, and the E is that we're in E&E's portion of the building. All right. So generally, that's sort of a rule in this faculty. You know, the letter is kind of the complex portion of the building, and the number is the level, and then the rest is just the identifier that can help you find it. Okay, and then group 4, hopefully. Well, I just wanted to say, so group 3 is definitely going to be electrical and electronic engineering. The venue, hopefully, will be this one. And then we will add some industrial engineering students to this group, likely about half of them. The industrial engineering group is very large this year. They're likely to be 190 of them. All right, and then in the group 4, probably we're going to have mechanical mechatronic engineering and industrial engineering, the balance of the industrial engineering students, and then a few BSc students, because their forestry and wood sciences focus area also follows our quite a few of our undergraduate first-year engineering modules. Right. But okay, again, please just double check on Friday that this is still what I think it's going to be. So I think it's going to be this, which means the chemical engineers here is likely going to be in S2024 up on the opposite side of the hallway, and chemical engineer, mechatronic engineering is likely going to be in S1018 across from us now. All right. Okie dokes. Okay, this is just, I mean, if you follow where to find the timetable, so on engineering's website, the timetable instructions, this is just a screenshot from there where you're going to be going to find your timetable. You know, you're going to log in as an undergraduate student and then navigate there through studies to timetable and find your group on there. Okay, and then I understand you can already log in to get into Sunlearn. All right, so you will get in there with your student number and your password and so forth. And then your lecturers will be posting, you know, the content for the different materials in there. So you can follow along there. Sometimes we contact you by email. If we contact you by email, it will be your university email. So you all would have now received the university email address. So whatever you added when you applied, your Gmail or Yahoo or whatever it was, you know, we're not using that. We use your university email if we need to contact you about something that's academic or university related. Okay, then I just want to flag also that every year we do have students who become victims of crime in this town. It's not the most dangerous town in South Africa for sure, but it's still, you know, you guys are walking around and girls are walking around with laptops and cell phones, and you're new in town, you go out, you party, you know, and now you become a target. So just be very vigilant. I also want to flag to you that on the back of your student card, there's the campus security number. Campus security does offer a lot of services, including shuttles to some of the outlying areas, and, you know, they're patrolling central routes, and they can come and pick you up actually or walk with you and so forth. So please do reach out to them if you know, goodness, I now need to get from point A to point B and I'm really worried about safety. You know, just call them and ask them, you know, what would be, what's available to help me get where I need to be safely. Okay, but, you know, one other thing is also just be vigilant, move in groups. You know, there is some safety in numbers. It's not perfect, but it's a whole lot better than being alone in the dark. All right. So in conclusion, there's a lot of support available, but you are also a very, very big group of first years. It would be easy for us to not realize that you need support or that we need to help you with something. It would be easy for us to not realize that. So please, please, please help us to help you. What movie does that come from? Anyway, help us to help you. All right. If you need some advice, just come and knock on our doors. If you're struggling, make an appointment with Natalie. You know, we are paying the educational psychologists, whether they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs or not. We're paying them. So please allow them to earn that salary. All right. So please, 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 you are welcome. It's all free. It's all free. You do not have to pay for any of these services. Okay, it's free. All right. All the very best for your engineering career, which starts now. And have a lovely welcoming week. I hope you make wonderful friends, lifelong friends, and I hope you sleep some. All right, keep well. I hope you know where you need to go now.